Remember when John Daly said he preferred Diet Coke and cigarettes over water? Well, it seems many legendary golfers share that sentiment. After all, how do you go from being slim and fit to a pot-bellied walrus? Well, if anyone can answer that, it's the king of letting himself go. We can't kick things off without talking about John Daly. This man was the human version of a rock and roll concert. In the early 1990s, Daly was slim, strong, and had a swing that could knock your hat off from 300 yards away. But hey, hit that subscribe button, like this video, and let's dive back in. He burst onto the scene winning the 1991 PGA Championship like a wild tornado nobody saw coming. Back then, he had that mullet, that swagger, and somehow looked both reckless and athletic at the same time. However, Daly never really pretended to live a healthy lifestyle. He openly bragged about smoking over a pack a day, drinking Diet Coke by the gallons, and avoiding anything green unless it was, of course, money. If salads were on the menu, Daly was probably ordering double cheeseburgers instead. Today, Daly looks like your crazy uncle who thinks walking to the fridge counts as cardio. His belly could qualify for its own zip code, and his skin has seen more sun damage than a leather couch left outside for 10 summers straight. Regardless, Daly still pulls massive crowds because people love his honest, crazy style. You'll still see him rocking colorful pants that would make a clown blush and hitting bombs off the tee like he's still 25. You'd just not recognize the young, fresh-faced Daly if you saw him now without a warning. The man basically turned into golf's lovable Florida man with a golf club. But how can we talk about golfers who let themselves go without mentioning Anthony Kim? This guy went from a young golf god to a walking bucket of French fries. Back in the day, AK was the cool kid at golf. Flashy belt buckles, swagger for days, and a swing smoother than peanut butter. People thought he'd be the next Tiger Woods, but now he's more like the Bigfoot of golf. Anthony went poof after injuries and then just vanished. And when he finally showed up again, surprise, the fit, fiery dude we all remembered had turned into a bloated, tired version of himself. We're talking puffy face, wild hair, and eyes that say, "I've been partying for too long. Help." Rumor has it that he spent the last decade chilling hard, junk food, smoke breaks, and probably enough tequila to fill a swimming pool. Sure, he had an insurance deal that paid him not to play golf again, but that certainly doesn't mean playing dodgeball with your health. Come on, man. Now, Steve Wheatcraft isn't a household name like Rory or Ricky, but once upon a time, he was one of those guys who looked like he was headed for something big. He was young, fit, and could play a solid round without looking like he needed a bench break every 3 holes. But then, life decided to throw a bucket of fries at him and sadness. Instead of dodging it, Steve dove in head first. He started battling depression and alcoholism, a 1-2 punch that'll knock even the strongest golfer into the rough. And no, not the grassy rough. We're talking about emotional, junk food, couch surfing kind of rough. Instead of hitting the gym, Steve was hitting the bottle, and maybe a drive-through or 2 on the way home. The six-pack turned into a keg, and his energy went from PGA Tour to can't even tour the living room without catching his breath. The man literally disappeared from leaderboards and reappeared years later, looking like he'd swapped his golf bag for a snack tray. It was sad, but also painfully relatable. Sometimes, the weight of life just adds up faster than you'd expect, and in Steve's case, it definitely showed. To his credit, Wheatcraft eventually opened up about his struggles, trying to rebuild his life and health, but his transformation from athletic pro to exhausted ex-golfer stands as a reminder that even strong swings can't save you from self-destruction if you let it go too far. Another good example is veteran PGA Tour pro Tim Heron. Early in his career, Heron was a successful player. Yeah, he was a 4-time tour winner, but over the time, he gained a great deal of weight. Fast forward to the 2000s, and Heron was roughly 250 pounds and became known for the love of big meals and avoidance of the gym. Heron famously said that he only used the tour's fitness van for stretching, calling it the fat man's workout. Heron also said, "I subscribe to the John Daly theory. You can pull a muscle, but you can't pull fat." He was even nicknamed Lumpy on tour. His lifestyle, little exercise, and plenty of junk food or beer explains his weight gain. Fans and media often made fun of Heron's fatty figure, but he remained popular for his easygoing humor. Another example comes from the European live circuit. Former Ryder Cup star Ian Poulter was a highly fit player in his prime, but in 2022-23, he fell into a junk food binge. After joining the Live Golf League and drawing harsh criticism online, Poulter admitted that he began stress-eating unhealthy meals. In early 2023, he told reporters that he'd been eating hot sandwiches covered in HP sauce and lots of chocolate each day, which made him feel awful. He actually admitted it was a bad habit born of internet abuse. Although Poulter did not publicly give his new weight, these diet choices clearly led to a major physique change. The media quoted his candid self-criticism, and fans noted that the famously tailored European tour outfit now strained at the waist. Poulter's case shows how lifestyle factors, like poor diet under stress, can cause a once-fit pro to resemble Peter Griffin from Family Guy. Next up is Lee Westwood, who in the late 90s and early 2000s looked like he was training for the Olympics and the PGA Tour at the same time. His arms were tight, his face was sharp, and he wore his golf clothes like a model doing a fitness shoot. You could bet your last dollar that if Lee was walking down the fairway, somebody was whispering, "Damn, he looks good." And the best part? He could actually back it up with real skills, snacking top finishes like they were free snacks at the clubhouse. However, time does not play around, and when Lee hit his 40s, things started heading south faster than geese in a snowstorm. And you know what else is faster? Yeah, subscribing to the channel and liking this video. His once chiseled jawline softened up like mashed potatoes, his arms looked less like they lifted weights and more like they lifted pints at the pub, and his middle section developed the kind of soft cushion you'd get when you realize running is way less fun than napping. Simply put, Lee Westwood went from looking like the guy your girlfriend would leave you for to the guy your girlfriend would ask you help to move a couch because he owns a pickup truck. Regardless, Lee swings a mean club and flashes that same easygoing smile, which is probably why fans still root for him, even if he swapped six-packs for snack packs. So, you may think Angel Cabrera was just another beefy dude swinging hard, but back in his prime, Cabrera was built like a brick wall with a golf club. Broad shoulders, thick arms, and a swing so powerful it looked like he was trying to send the ball into orbit. He won the 2007 US Open and the 2009 Masters like he was picking apples from a tree. No sweat, no drama, just raw power and ice-cold nerves. Cabrera looked like the kind of guy who could win a tournament and then break a beer bottle with one hand at the celebration. But moving on to the not-so-pretty part, life outside the green hit Angel harder than a shank drive into a tree. Legal problems started piling up, and before you know it, Cabrera found himself behind bars in South America for charges ranging from assault to harassment. Time in prison and years without proper training, it didn't do him any favors. These days, Cabrera looks tired, bloated, and aged way beyond his actual years. His face carries the heavy look of a man who's seen way too many bad days. His old strength and swagger got replaced with slow steps and heavy size. Simply put, Angel Cabrera went from being a giant among golfers to being a sad sight to behold. Now, Duffy Waldorf always looked like the kind of guy you wanted to have a beer with after a round. In his prime, he had a stocky but solid frame that somehow still worked magic on the course. He was never exactly a fitness model, but back in the day, he could move around the course just fine, without looking like he needed a medic on standby. Plus, his colorful hats and loud shirts made him look like a walking party. You could tell Duffy loved life, loved golf, and maybe loved one too many cheeseburgers after a big win. However, as the years ticked by, Duffy packed on the weight like he was preparing for a hibernation season. His cheeks got so round they looked like buns, and his golf shirt started stretching like rubber bands about to snap. It got to the point where watching Duffy line up a shot almost felt like waiting for a balloon to pop. Now, you may think that would slow him down, but somehow it never did. The man kept moving, kept hitting, and most importantly, kept laughing. Regardless, Duffy never lost his happy-go-lucky vibe. Even if his body looked ready to collapse after a few extra holes, he kept swinging and smiling like nothing ever changed. And in case you didn't know, Duffy was one of the few pros who brought beer to interviews and joked about his size like it was just another club in his bag. Simply put, Duffy proved that winning is great, but having fun, that's even better. Last but certainly not least, we've got Ian Woodsam, a tiny powerhouse from Wales who once shocked the golf world by winning the 1991 Masters. Small but now, however, Ian looks like he's been used for batting practice. His shoulders are slumped, his once powerful arms have turned into soft dough, and his face looks like it belongs on a weathered fisherman, rather than a world-class golfer. You may think you spotted him running a pub in a seaside village somewhere. Regardless, Woodsam still shows up for some. And with that said, golfers are just like the rest of us. Good food, lazy weekends, and the slow march of time catches up with everybody sooner or later. Sure, it can be shocking to see our favorite sports legends puffed up and slowed down, but it's also pretty funny and an honest reminder that nobody stays young forever. So, next time you see John Daly lighting up a cigarette on the green, or Phil Mickelson jogging slowly after a ball, give him a little cheer. They've already proven they can be champions. Let them enjoy the cheeseburgers too. Now, drop a like for your favorite carefree golfer. If you enjoyed this video, click to subscribe.